Hey, everybody out there in Comic Watch land. Welcome to another episode of the Comic Watcher Show, episode 145. I'm your host today, Mike. Matt is out sick. Get better soon, bud. I am here today, pretty stoked for the show. This is going to be a really rad show. We have from Headless Shakespeare Press, Craig Hurd-McKenney, and scary artist extraordinaire, fanboy a little bit, from Tremor Dose and Double Walker fame, Noah Bailey. Gentlemen, how you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing this. So maybe jump off here really quick. Craig, if you want to give us a history of how Headless Shakespeare Press came about and what kind of stuff you guys publishing over there.
Yeah, so I have been doing this for a long time. Since 2000, I was making zines and mini comics, and early on in like the kind of indie scene, I was doing some anthologies because I wanted to really learn the business side of things before I started doing my own work. So I did a couple of anthologies. I then applied for a Xeric grant, which back in the day, Peter Laird and the Xeric Foundation would give grants to comic creators to create new work. And I got one of those for my book, The Bronte's Infernal Angria, and then just continued to make books from there. I took some time off to go back to school. So for me, this is me coming back after a lengthy period away. And we just kind of hit the ground running. We've got the Some Strange Disturbances series, which is a Victorian horror series. We've got the latest campaign. You know, I've got a book with Noah that's, sorry, my dogs are fighting. We've got a sort of sci-fi horror book. Horror is in my veins, but I'm really interested in different art styles that we're not seeing all the time, really unique visions, working with just different collaborators that reflect a diverse perspective that we may not always see in comics. And so that's the quick and the fast of Headless Shakespeare Press.
No worries. So getting on Station Grand No, which is the book that you're doing for Headless Shakespeare Press, did you pitch ideas to Craig, or did Craig kind of pitch ideas to you? How did this collaboration come together?
The completed script. I read it. He asked me if I'd be interested in it, and I read. I was blown away by it. I think it's a fantastic story, and it's really creepy, and it's really disturbing, and so it's like a total mind.
Just let it fly. Just go. Just what
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I was about to say it, and then I was like, "Oh wait, I don't know if I can."
Just,
Okay.
just let it fly.
Children are listening, Noah.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's just the teenagers. It's kind of late anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. No. Yeah. I loved his story, and I could instantly see like how I would do it. So yeah. So I was really excited to do it, and yeah, that's that. And then he started sending me tons of cool stuff. Really.
Very cool. Now, being familiar with your work from Tremor Dose and Double Walker, how did this project in Station Grand differ from your approach, or was your approach different at all with dealing with Station Grand and the art?
Well, I hope that I've gotten better as a cartoonist in particular, as like with the way that I draw people and the expressions and the facial features and all of those things. So hopefully it's a better approach. And I also think that my interests graphically have changed a bit as far as um, just things that I'm more interested in drawing. So,
Sure.
like I was just talking to him about, I love to draw environments. I think that that's like one of my favorite things to do. And so, hopefully, I'm bringing a lot of environment drawings to the table. And um, I guess Double Walker, all of the work I've been doing recently has been in color too. So I've been coloring all of it in Photoshop afterward. And this will be like returning to black and white, which I really love working in black and white. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm building a lot of my approach around that actually. And it's really fun to play with that balance between, and negative space and things like that. And this is perfect story for those kinds of. So yeah, I suppose that's kind of my approach. And I'm also I've been just getting really into like German expressionism, and so I don't know. I've been that into everything that I'm doing. So yeah.
Ah, that's awesome, awesome, awesome. Can't wait to see it. So
Thank
Craig, I gotta ask, with the catalog for Headless Shakespeare Press, you're getting to work with just a great array of talent. What's been some of your highlights with working with just a vast group of great talent?
Well, we touched on this a little bit, but the Bronte book was done with Rick Geary, who is doing a solo book as part of the new campaign, and having folks like Peter Gross and Vince Locke do the frame story of Some Strange Disturbances: A Cold Winter's Eve. The folks that have been doing it for a while are just so generous with the advice and the care, and not like overstepping and being like, do it this way, but like really offering their wisdom and expertise on things. And even though I've been doing this a while, I still want to learn and grow. And Noah and I talked about this in our Instagram chat too. Like, we always want to be challenging ourselves. Like, your level of satisfaction with the project should always be slightly under, so that you always like think, I can do this better next time.
Yeah.
So just having them as peers is a huge benefit. But then also just getting to work with people who are starting out, like Noah, and Sarah, who is drawing a book about my great. It's sort of a like autobio book that is the story of me and my great grandfather. But I love working with new talent, and kind of. Obviously, I'm not introducing Noah to the world, and I'm not introducing Sarah to the world, but sometimes I get to get in on the ground floor and help introduce people to new artists, and that's always such a thrill for me too. But then just even having cool conversations, like getting to know Noah's influences, which I knew some of them, but the German expressionism, like I got really excited when you said that. But there's so many moments. And during the Kickstarter, I've been doing Instagram live chats. So I'm an extrovert, and that's just always super cool to me, to be able to talk with people, especially when we're still in some places maybe not able to connect, or we're spread across the states. Just having that time to talk shop is really cool, and that's why this conversation is super exciting to me too.
Awesome. And speaking of catching folks on the ground floor, we kind of chatted about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped on Hello Shakespeare's Press's last Kickstarter, and instantly fell in love with what you guys are doing. How did the Victorian historical, fiction horror? I mean, that is a lot of genres. That's a lot to take in. How does that come together?
So I studied Victorian literature when I was working on my undergraduate degree. That was my area of focus. So much of what we have as contemporary horror comes out of that era. You've got things like Dracula. You've got, I'm always impressed by Mary Shelley creating that story around a campfire as a 19-year-old young woman. Like, the fact that that came out of her like it's just mind blowing. And all of that stuff is from that era. So Gothic Victorian stuff has always just been in my sort of sensibility. And when I came back to working on comics again, it was really sort of a challenge from one of my coworkers who I call her my work wife. She calls me her work husband. She's a poet, and she was writing poems and doing readings, and she was in my office one day, and she was like, "You have all these graphic novels that you did. Why aren't you doing them anymore? Like, I know you have ideas. Like, I know you're a writer. Like, why aren't you doing it?" And I was like, I don't know. That's a great question. So when I started thinking about where I was at that point in time, and what I felt like I could bring that was slightly different. I mean, we have Victorian stuff, we have horror stuff, like all of that is out there, but it was like, really, what can I say about this that's different? And we were just at a point, and we're still there in some respects, with just sort of digging into what is a monster, what is horror, what scares us, what is too much for us to bear, or what can we work our way out of in terms of a horror situation. And I think the great challenge is you really want to have characters that you can root for. I think Stephen King wrote this, and I'm going to quote it terribly, but essentially you have to have characters that you're rooting for. The horror is sort of ancillary to that. But you really have to have that core element to it in order to have real horror happening, because that's the part that we as readers connect with, right? Like, that scares me. Like that's I'm glad to know somebody else is having that fear. And so it was just just kind of a hodgepodge of things, really. I knew that I wanted the cast to sort of look like my life, which is I'm around a lot of different people. I don't have it's not all people that look like me or share my same thought process on stuff. I find that when I am connected with folks who have a different way of thinking about things, that it helps enrich my life and sharpen the way that I see things, and has me really asking deep questions about things. And so that was a goal of mine, because as a young kid, I could only see myself in a certain way in stories. And often it was a way that I didn't see myself. And I found that confusing. It was like, well, if I don't see myself that way, what does that mean for me? Like, am I just absent? Am I not here? Like, or am I wrong? Like, what does that mean? So for me, it's also like just having characters that a whole array of people can see themselves in. And if you're not those things, you can still, I think there's still a human element that you can find in the work, that you can connect with. But it's also a great hope of mine that folks who don't normally see themselves in this type of work can see themselves as well, and feel like, oh, there really is a place for me. There is a lot of different ways that I can exist and be in this world.
For sure. Noah, going back to Station Grand, when you got the script and the notes and stuff like that, did you know what you wanted to do, or did you kind of just let the characters talk to you and kind of and take it from there?
Well, with the main character, I wasn't. There's not a whole lot of direction aside from like his ethnicity and his age and like his physical build. So I actually had a lot of fun kind of finding that character, and I landed on a character design that I was really pleased with, and I'm really excited to draw that character because I kind of gave him some like Morrissey hair, and he's like,
never go wrong with anything Morrissey.
Yeah, so he's very fun to draw. And then honestly, every other character in the book is actually referenced from photos from real people, which is also really fun to me. I love doing that. So what was your other question? Characters. And then I think that when I was reading this story, I was kind of realizing that there's a lot of square and rectangular shapes. It's all I'm imagining this place made up of very yeah, just a lot of those shapes. So I'm trying to figure out ways to utilize those shapes and to create like a real space where you can feel yourself in the room with the character, you know. And yeah, we were just talking about that on Instagram too. Is that's something that's very important to me, is to build environments that feel real, you know. And like that was one of the things that in Double Walker I focused on a lot, was like building all of the houses, and or where everywhere they went, I wanted you to know, like, okay, I know where this part of the room is, or like, you know, even when you're not don't see it directly, you already know this part of the room, and it's all very real spatially, you know. And that's really important to me with this story, especially because the spaces are so confined, and I think that that sense of how confined the spaces are really lends to the terror in the story and the building of the suspense and the fear, you know. So yeah, that's I hope I answered that question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's good. Keep going.
I will say that one of the things that he's talking about is
Mhm.
in past Kickstarter campaigns, people could back at a level where they could become a character in an upcoming story.
Gotcha.
And so we do have some real people that are making their appearances in the book.
Very nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think we've talked about, obviously, like, we don't want to give away spoilers, but what is with Station Grand? What's behind the main character? What's the story there?
Well,
If we can, then yeah.
So the story is that a team of one is rotated into the Station Grand on Venus, which is being terraformed, and Venus has a 270-day night. So when Venus, the side of Venus that's away from the sun, there's like no connection with the outside world. So whoever is at the station at that time is really on their own, with the exception of the computer that helps keep the station up and running. And a lot of the research that I did prior to that was just around the way that astronauts have their circadian rhythms disrupted, meaning that their sleep cycles are thrown off, and it's essentially like they have brain damage. Especially the longer they're out there, the worse that it gets. So I wanted to explore this idea of my own experience with insomnia, being on Venus in the dark for 270 days by myself, with the lack of sleep maybe starting to affect my brain, or maybe there's something in there with him. We don't really know.
That's absolutely terrifying.
It really is.
God.
And he for sure doesn't know.
No, he
Golly, that's terrifying. So Noah, speaking of terrifying, when doing something like Station Grand, and just getting the creepiness that Craig just talked about, do you find yourself kind of want to just get as gory, but staying in like your certain environment, your comfort zone, or is it one of those things where you kind of try to find that happy medium of like, okay, maybe we don't need, like, heads for a disco ball type of deal?
Well, okay. I think that this story deals a lot more with terror, and rather than like straight horror, where it's like it's in the anticipation of the horror, that where you're experiencing all of these things. And there is some really striking imagery that is definitely bone chilling, and those are the parts I have like very clear idea that I want to do, and I'm really hoping to scare the shit out of everyone. That's my goal for this one, is to really scare you. And yeah, because but yeah, it's one of those stories where it gets really into the psychology of the character, and you slowly to learn things about the main character, and you start kind of wondering, can I trust this person's perspective? And yeah, it ends in a really terrifying way, and I don't know. I think yeah,
I think that's a
yeah,
very fair assessment. And
okay,
you know,
yeah,
this
too
one is
much.
less like graphic. I mean, Some Strange Disturbances gets a little bit more graphic. Like, for example, there's a script coming up that is my sort of Victorian horror giallo tribute. So that one is like very intensely graphic with like if you're familiar with giallo at all, you know how people get dispensed in giallo.
Oh yeah,
this one is a little less that way. I think Noah was right on when he kind of put it in the psychological horror camp. It really is more about that feeling that we're trying to evoke in people than it is about like direct imagery that is grotesque or horrifying.
Gotcha,
absolutely.
gotcha.
Yeah, and so that's why I think that the images that are horrifying need to be particularly effective. So yeah, that I'm going to spend a lot of time on that.
Telling the story without words. I can dig it. I can dig it.
Yeah, yeah.
Craig, with Headless Shakespeare Press and the vast catalog, how do you keep it fresh with the different stories and bring in different people in with different perspectives on art and writing and such like that?
Well, so far it's just been me doing the writing. I worked with Rick to do Blanche Goes to Paris 20 years ago. When we were talking, we were both shocked that it was 20 years ago, and I knew back then that he had additional stories to tell with that character, and just no one was coming out with them. So I was like, hey, why don't we do this? I know you have this other story. Let's do it. So it really just is project based, right? There are other things that have come up in sort of talks that I might do that would be from other writers, but it really is just on a case by case basis, which I know is not. I'm such a small operation that maybe that's not a satisfying answer, but it really is just like I have to feel it, and I have to know that the person who's created it feels it. Because that to me is such a huge step in selling the work, is that like if you truly believe in it, and so to me, like there are a couple of things that are like dream things that I would love to happen, but essentially it's just me right now. Just me writing, but I get to work with amazing people like Noah and Sarah Hickey, who's working on another one of the books for the campaign, and Gervasio and Carlos Ion, my kind of long-term collaborators. They're artists out of Argentina. They are the core team on Some Strange Disturbances, and I've worked with them for, again, almost 20 years now, and just continuing to have those relationships grow like that to me is it's so it's not so much about the project, it's just it's more about like who am I working with, and do we gel, do we vibe? We did a short story that's another short book that you can get as part of the campaign. You can have it as an add-on. It's a 12-page story that features one of the characters from Some Strange Disturbances, because we don't actually show in that special that you talked about, the Cold Winter's Eve special, we don't show where he is or what's happening to him. And we went back and the artist James Dillenbeck, who again is one of these artists that's just amazingly unique in what he does, it worked out perfectly. He has a love of sumo wrestling, and he was able to take the Nobe character and tell this, again, horrific story that culminates in a sumo battle. And that just is, it's exciting to me to see such diversity of talent and such strong voices in creators who are just really getting started. And I know James has a lot more to show. I know Noah is gonna I almost said a barn burner, like just setting it on fire. Like I'm so stoked for everybody to see the stuff that he has coming up, especially Station Grand. But just I'm such a fan of his work, and to be able to work with him that's just such a huge treat for me.
Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. So Craig, if you I know we're here to talk about Station Grand, but I do want to hit on a little bit of the Kickstarter, the whole kit and caboodle, if you will.
Yeah.
If you want to hit on the different books and stuff, the different titles that are in the 2022 catalog for you guys.
Yes, so we have 4 books, but I know that every time we start a campaign, new people come in and learn about us. So we've got the 4 new books, but as part of the campaign, you have access to all of the past books as well. So it's really kind of a pick and choose what you're into or what you would like to see. The 4 main books, obviously we talked about Station Grand. We talked a little bit about Blanche Goes to San Francisco, which is set in 1923. Blanche is a traveling pianist who gets involved in wild hijinks wherever she goes. In this case, she's returned to San Francisco after the death of her father, and she's fallen in with a spiritualist group who may or may not have access to her father's ghost and communicating with him. She gets involved with Dashiell Hammett and Harry Houdini. And again, hijinks ensue from there. No spoilers.
Right.
But Rick is always, he's a journeyman. Every book that Rick creates is a treat. He's always hitting it out of the park, and this is no exception. Everyone is, I think you'll just fall in love with Blanche like I did 30 plus years ago when I first read her stories. But it's a delight. We've also got Ernest and Iva, like I said, which is it's sort of an autobio comic. It's a little vulnerable for me. I've not done one of those before, but it involves like my research into my great grandfather and just sort of like trying to sort out depression and sort of the impact that his life and the end of that life had on my family. So that one is maybe a a niche book, but it's sort of presented as one long take movie. Like if you think of Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, and I know that one's a little bit of a cheat because the film canisters only ran for 10 minutes at the time. So they had to splice it in a way where it looked like it's one continuous take. But Sarah is an animator. She's got an animation background. And the reason I reached out to her is one, again, like with Noah, I'm a huge fan of Sarah's work. Sarah brings a sense of movement and a process to the way that the images are set up. So the whole book takes place as if it's like, I think I use the example of Our Town, where like the staging is very minimal and the characters like change clothes on mid-panel and time is jumping, and it's envisioned as one continuous take. So if you're interested in family genealogy and the like, then you'll like the story. If you're interested in sort of formalist structure things, then I think it will speak to you as well. The other book, which we've been talking about, is Some Strange Disturbances, The Demon Bride. Again, it's drawn by Gervasio and Carlos Ion, who I've worked with many times, and they are the art team on the main art team on Some Strange Disturbances. This is technically the 4th book, but but it's number 3, The Demon Bride. It's kind of the culminating action of the first 3 books. You don't necessarily have to have read the other 2, but it helps give you context into the characters and a sense of their lives. But the psychics of England have been under attack in the last book, and the trio of characters go into the English countryside for a weekend wedding to get to the bottom of it and try to prevent the apocalypse from happening.
Nice. I like it. That's good stuff right there. Well, gentlemen, so I know you guys just did the IG Live, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to mention for everybody out there in TV land that on Craig's Instagram, all his videos that he was talking about and the videos that him and Noah just did are still on his IG account. So definitely go there, catch up on all that good stuff about this new Kickstarter campaign, because you definitely want to back it. You definitely don't want to miss this. So Noah, real quick, is there anything like what's new in the horizon you got anything that you can possibly talk about? Obviously, we don't want spoilers, but say, if there is something that you can possibly talk about that you would like folks to know.
Okay, so I have a story with Michael Conrad in Wonder Woman Black and Gold #6 coming out next month, I think at the end of the month. And then okay, I have some original art announcements coming up soon. And
nice.
Yeah, I have I'm releasing a Frankenstein print very soon here. And I think that's all I can talk about right now. I have
no worries. Like I said,
you can also talk about Tremor Dose and Double Walker are on sale on Comixology right now for 99 cents. So if you
for 99 cents.
God,
sign up for 99 cents. Those books are amazing at full price, but they are an outright steal at 99 cents.
Yes.
There is so much to take out of both of those books, both in terms of the script and Noah's art. And, again, Tremor Dose was the book that there was a moment in there where it shifts from black and white to color. And I just told Noah that was the moment where I was like, oh crap, like I really want to work with this guy.
Like that part scared the shit out of me. And I was sitting there going like what just happened? So like you almost want to stop the book and then start again. And I'm like,
I did.
That just happened. Yeah, so definitely Tremor Dose. I mean, Double Walker.
99 cents. Can you believe that? Like, amazing. Get those books.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Full price. Yeah. And no, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Dark Horse that's printing Tremor Dose? I believe
that's right. Yeah. I'm so bad at this stuff. Okay, so Dark Horse.
I got you.
You're definitely got that. Don't say that.
Usually I just rely on Michael to do all of this, and I just shut up. So, but Dark Horse is putting out. I think it just got pushed back to the beginning of December. Actually, right. Tremor Dose will be out in print in bookstores and comic shops. And thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, folks got to jump on that because as I was talking to Craig before we went live, I mean that was my introduction to your art, and that's what kind of hooked me in. And back in Craig's last Kickstarter. So I mean, having you two on the show, stopping by to talk with Comic Watch has been truly a rad experience, and I'm glad we could kind of talk shop a little bit and get the word out, and hopefully get some more backers for you guys out there.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and it's great to talk to you again, man.
No, absolutely.
And as I said, the support is so appreciated. Like Kickstarters they take a village, right? It's crowdsourcing. Absolutely. It's crowdfunding. It takes a village, but you have been such a strong advocate for us, and it's truly appreciated.
No, yeah, absolutely. And we can't go yet because obviously on Comixology you can get Headless Shakespeare Press. That's on Comixology as well. So you got Some Strange Disturbances 1 and 2. The Brontes is on Comixology. So don't let e-comics scare you, okay? Go there.
Well, and especially as we start to run out of paper, that may be all we have.
Right. Well, all those people that are sitting here going, "Oh, I don't read e-comics." Well, guess what? You're about to. Everyone's about to read e-comics. So, but no. In all seriousness, though, guys, thanks for stopping by. And everyone, check out the Instagram videos. Catch up on this Kickstarter program. Don't miss out. Once again, Tremor Dose, Double Walker, 99 cents. Headless Shakespeare Press is on Comixology. So, gentlemen, any parting words? Any last?
Thank you guys so much. It's great to talk to you. It's great to see friendly faces. And I appreciate all of it. I'm really looking forward to doing more work.
Absolutely. Anytime. Either one of you guys want to come back on, there's always there's room on the couch, definitely, to
awesome. Hang out. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Anytime, open invitation. Well, with that being said, this has been the Comic Watcher Show, episode 145. We had Craig Hurd-McKenney, Noah Bailey, Headless Shakespeare Press. It's on Kickstarter. Please don't miss this, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.